As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Little roller up along first. Behind the fence. It gets small back there. Here comes Knight in the next one. See you in Pittsburgh. Can't wait. All the baby is out of the field. He's going to go in the field. Looking, throwing in the end zone.
You're tuned into Game On with Josh Silverberg and Eric Bowe. Talking all things sports. It's
Game on!
Yeah, game on.
Game On right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh, what is happening? We are live. It is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Game On every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Josh Silverberg, my co-host, Eric Bowen, of course, on the boards. Petey, how are you doing, Eric?
It's Friday.
Thank God.
We're
I'm off
back.
this week, man. I'm off this whole week, spring break, baby. Let's
Listen,
go.
Stop bragging, all right?
Crayola Crayon Factory on Monday. Let's rock and roll. Right, Speedy? I can't wait.
You know what? I hope Mel give you a nice list of stuff to complete.
Nope. And
A
then
nice honey to-do list.
My birthday is Wednesday, which is cool. And
wow,
this is going to make Snug very happy. I am now into Premier League soccer, everybody. Or football, as they say.
Hold on. You have a team?
I do have a team.
You have a team?
I do have a team.
Are we going to announce it?
Yes.
Oh, Speedy, you sitting down for this?
The Arsenal Gunners.
Wow.
There you go. Arsenal is my team. And, of course, the first game I watch, they lose to Bayern Munich in the Champions League. 1-0.
All right, you know what? It definitely sounds like a team of yours.
Fits right in with the narrative.
It's perfect.
We got a great show. We got Mike Luchene, who's going to be joining us, the co-founder of NFL Rough Trade. He'll be joining us at 6:30. But right now, he's already in. He's ready to go. He's pumped. He's excited. I can tell because he's smiling. Co-founder of All 22, Mr. Chris Lombardi. Chris, Eric, Speedy, Josh, all here. How you doing, man? Everybody good?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, guys.
I hope that was a great intro, man. I'm psyched because it's Friday. How can you not be, right?
Oh man, I'm vibrant. I love it.
Listen, this is your time to shine. We got you and Mike at 6:30. This is draft week. I know we're gonna divvy into our playoffs for the NHL and the NBA a little bit later, as you can see with my Ranger sweatshirt on. I know Eric's Red Wings fell just a wee bit short this year of making the playoffs. To play the Rangers coincidentally in the first round, that would have been very funny, but that would have been a great show. But I digress. But it was interesting. So I asked Speedy, I reached out to him. I go, Speedy, you've had so many draft guys on. Who are guys that we can reach out to? And you and Mike were two of the top guys he put on the list. I said, all right, I'm gonna reach out to them right away. And you guys got back. Right? Let's go. Like, get me on the show.
This is our season. This is what we live for, right? My head's been in the dirt. You're mentioning hockey playoffs. I have no idea what's going on outside of draft season. No clue. I know the Yankees are playing.
Eric's the Yankee fan. I'm the Met fan, which the Mets were 0-5 at the beginning of the year. Hey, listen, we're 10-8 now. We have our head above water, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But all we're gonna hear is if the Mets win, they hired a Yankee guy as their manager. That's all we're gonna hear. So it's gonna
make sense. That's all I'm saying.
But we have a lot to get to with you, Chris, and of course we have to start with the big topic. That's of course the number one overall pick. It seems to be a foregone conclusion. It is going to be Caleb Williams. Eric and of course Speedy and I have gone back and forth. Eric and Speedy have banded together in a war against me about why Justin Fields should have been kept. They should have traded the first overall pick, done something like that, because Fields was playing better at the end of the season.
Mhm.
As you can wink, wink. Because that Green Bay game really showed his stats in that game. What were your thoughts when you found out Justin Fields was traded, and you said, okay, you think Caleb Williams could be the guy that could lead the Chicago Bears? Because I feel like Poles had to do it. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I'm a Packer fan, so
This is great for you. You love this. We built for the Bears again.
This is fun stuff. What we thrive on is instability of other programs, and the Bears are just the most unstable program besides maybe the Jets, right? The Browns
you
are in there too.
Oh, you did it.
The Browns are there
I'm a Jets
too.
fan. Oh, yeah, I'm a
sorry,
Jets
buddy.
fan. Oh, man. My dad's a Packer
Chris.
fan, and I know for a fact my dad's going to see your last name. He's going to go, is he related to Lombardi at all in any sort of way?
God, I wish. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but Vince Lombardi went to Fordham in the Bronx, so
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
pretty close to home.
Did do that, yep. And then they have the famous exit named after him in New Jersey, right before you get off at that tuna fish can known as MetLife Stadium. Yeah, I mean, it's a joke.
Mhm.
But anyway, we were saying, like, you feel the Bears. So you're on my side with this, right, Chris? Or am I putting words in your mouth that you think that Poles had to make this move? Because if Williams turns out to be a success and they don't take him and they kept Fields, who was okay, it was going to make Poles look bad and he was going to have to find a new job elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's going to have to find a new job elsewhere no matter what, just because I think the instability makes it really hard to keep coaches around, right? And when you add a new quarterback, you usually bring him in with a new coach, and they didn't do that. So what happens if they go 5-12 again, right? What happens? I think they got to fire the coach, and then it's just a carousel. That's really what happens here. I do think Caleb Williams is an extremely special prospect, and I think he deserves the number 1 pick. I think the Bears made the right move doing what they're doing. But again, I would have aligned it with a new head coach, one of these new offensive-minded head coaches, and given them a few years together before, again, they're going to fire the head coach next year.
I mean, another example, when Kyler Murray was drafted and who they bring in coach-wise, someone he was very familiar with. I think you're pretty spot on with that, and I'm curious to see. My beef with Josh with this originally was
his beef is bogus. The double B,
you're
bogus
building
beef.
a team around Caleb Williams already that you have not done for Justin Fields. And that's my point of the big difference is, well, you see Fields as an NFL quarterback ready already, but maybe without the talent that Caleb Williams might have around him. Do you think that's going to make a big difference?
Yeah. Eric, what team are you a fan of?
I'm a Giants fan.
Oh, we have a lot to get to with that. That's going to be intriguing.
I think one of the things we're realizing, and this is something I actually spoke with one of my co-founders about earlier today, is that if you don't have one of the top maybe 8 quarterbacks in the NFL, it's almost impossible to make it as far as you need to make it to be successful, right? I think there are 15 other quarterbacks that teams think are their guys, but they'll never take them to that promised land unless you're, Justin Fields on the Eagles, where every player on the team is an all-star, right? Or maybe the Lions have a little bit of that situation going on too. Besides that, you need a top 8 quarterback. I don't think the Bears thought Justin Fields could ever be that, which makes the decision a little bit easier for them. I don't know if I agree, right? I think Justin Fields is a really good football player. I would have liked to see him get more of an opportunity, but this is kind of what happens is this, again, it's a carousel. These quarterbacks that are drafted by their teams, they get dumped after 3 years. Sam Darnold's now the starter for the Vikings, right? It's what kind of happens. I do think he'll get another opportunity, but sometimes it takes sitting for a year in a good organization like he's in now with the Steelers before he figures out what that future is going to look like.
We're talking to All-22 Premium Fantasy Football co-founder Chris Lombardi. My dad has a question. I want to get the fans' questions first because, of course, I said he's a big Packers fan. But I'll give him credit where credit is due. When they drafted Aaron Rodgers, my dad said, give it 3 years, Rodgers will be the starter. You watch. And then once brought forth that interception against the Giants in the championship game, my dad said, get him out. Rodgers is ready. And then when they took Jordan Love, my dad's like, he'll be the starter in a couple years. You watch. It's just a result. And then Love did very well this postseason, which I think will elevate Green Bay to higher, I think, a little bit higher expectations for this year. And I think the division is completely wide open now, right? I mean, Detroit's good, but they can be had, I think, but Green Bay. Who do you think, and you being a Packer fan, the Packers could select? And remember, they got that second round pick from the Jets too. So they got a couple of nice picks there.
Yeah, I think the Packers are a sleeper to trade up in this draft because they have 2 second-round picks. They have 2 third-round picks too, and obviously they have their own first. They're being projected to get Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, the cornerback, the first white cornerback to enter the NFL in some time. I don't know if you guys are aware of that.
No.
Then there's also guys like Troy Foutnow, who's an interior offensive lineman that's getting talked about. Dallas Turner, some of these edge rushers are really special.
I actually want Foutnow from Washington, you said, right? I actually want him for the Jets because he plays every position.
You guys should be
offensive line position.
You guys should be running up a card to get one of those offensive linemen. And I think we need to do that too. We have some guys that are a little bit beaten up, guys that stepped in and did well. But I don't know if you could just hang your hat on a guy having 6 good games, right? And just know that he's going to have 3 more good years. So I think we need to bolster that offensive line. I think we should do that early.
So then sticking with the draft itself, who in the
really, where else were we going? What do you mean sticking with the draft? Where else were we going? I mess with him. I love messing with him
every week with him.
Yeah, I get it.
It's the best.
But it's bad because it started in college too. We just kind of
we had a show in college and it got worse.
the co-founders of all 22 are my high school friends. So we stayed friends for 15 years. I get it, man. I get it, Eric.
All right, thank you. Sometimes the only part here is now I don't have the board in front of me to mute him. That's the part I'm working on. But with the draft, first round, obviously there's a lot of JJ McCarthy talk on quite a few teams. Who do you think ultimately lands him, or do you think is there any teams that trade up to try to get him?
Makes no sense to me.
It's the $1 million question of this draft is where JJ McCarthy goes. I think if the Giants don't get Drake May, which they're trying to do, I think that there's a really good chance that they are the team that selects him. But I think the Vikings are going to be very, very aggressive to jump the Giants and get that done. They wouldn't have traded back into the first round. Right now, they have 2 first-round picks this year. They still have their first next year. They have so much ammunition to get their quarterback. I think what all of us are kind of shaking our head and we're going, is it really JJ McCarthy that they're going to do that for? And I do think there are aspects of his game that are underrated. So I think he is worthy of like maybe a top 15 pick, but using a top 5 pick is pretty strong.
I don't think I've ever heard
it makes no sense to me
of a quarterback being touted like this. That's not the number 1 pick. That's like 4 or 5 teams that we're in on this guy.
One thing you have to remember with this draft is that he's 3 years younger than Bo Nix and Michael Penix, right? So he's a child, right? When those guys were seniors in college, he was a freshman. That matters, right? And not only that, he did lead his team to a national championship. Teams fall in love with intangibles. There are intangibles about this guy that are special, but again, you need production to be at that top 5 level. Not sure he has the production to be there, but top 15, I think would be very good. If the Vikings could stay at 11 and get him, they win the draft.
I wanted to get into the Jaden Daniels aspect because all these things are coming out now, and it happens every year, right? Well, there's always a rumor that this guy does. It's like a couple years ago, Justin Fields had the heart condition, and then it was something else last year. So Daniels had apparently from his team, he had a bad meeting with the Commanders. He thought he was the only guy getting the interview, and then he saw other guys coming in, and his team didn't like that. And then he said he didn't feel connected with the Commanders. He wants to be a Patriot. Where is everything lining up here? Would the Commanders, who have the second overall pick, because they're not trading that pick, are they going to pass? Because I feel like they hired Kingsbury to fit the narrative of making him work with Daniels, considering he worked with Caleb Williams in college, worked with Kyler Murray in the NFL. I won't even touch base with you on Kyler Murray. Speedy knows all about that. Me and Kyler Murray, I can't stand him. Never liked him. But would the Commanders actually pass on Daniels? And if the Commanders do take him, what happens at that point? If all this stuff is coming up that I refuse to play for them, I didn't want to do this and everything like that. It's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, and right now you have to realize there are more smoke screens happening than any time of the year. But I will say I have Drake May higher on my draft board than I do Jaden Daniels. So it's not outlandish to me to think that they could take Drake May instead of Jaden Daniels. I also would say, talking about Cliff Kingsbury being the offensive coordinator, he's the air raid offense. I think that while Malik Neighbors has a big arm and also has the running ability, Drake May and JJ McCarthy both can run the football. They're underrated aspects of their game. Those guys are super mobile. Unlike what we've seen in recent years where when you have these big arm guys like Drake May, they usually don't do that, right? They sit in the pocket and they throw the football from there. This guy can move. It's very underrated. I don't think he'd have any problem pairing with Kingsbury, even though Kingsbury's just not a great coach, in my opinion. So
no, he's horrible.
Different topic.
It's horrible. But my thing is that the whole thing with Daniels is if he does go to Washington, is he going to have a conniption about this and like force his way out of here? Because I just feel like all this is now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, isn't this the second report that's come out from his team that he said he didn't feel a connection with Washington? And I don't like this. I just feel like, dude, we brought in Kingsbury for you to help develop you.
I think they brought in Kingsbury to try to get Caleb Williams. I really believe that. I think that
so did I at first. I did that too. I just don't think Chicago at this point. Once Fields got traded, that was out the window.
I think that they were hoping Caleb would maybe pull an Eli Manning and say, I want to play with this coach, right? And I think they were kind of banking on that happening. And I will say, I don't like when teams do that. Don't like the Jets, right? Sorry to keep going back to it, but
it's okay. Listen, I'm so used to it, dude. I'm like this at this point. Everything that team does, I'm just so immune to it at this point. I just can care less with them.
Cool.
I
keep
can't
it going.
It's easy to say because it's true. They're a joke in a punching bag.
Bringing in the offensive coordinator to pair with Aaron Rodgers, when in reality, every bit of evidence shows that him on his own and his ability to be a strong offensive coordinator without Rodgers just has failed, right? And they blamed it on Zach Wilson this year for failing with Hackett. But come on, like the guy hasn't been successful. He had Russell Wilson. He had supposedly a great team last year on the Broncos. Yep. At some point, it's his fault, right? Hire somebody new. And you shouldn't be strongholded by your quarterback into coaching, hiring decisions. And now we're talking about the draft. These are rookie quarterbacks. 90% of these guys are going to fail anyway. You're really going to choose your coaches based on who you think is going to pair with some rookie quarterback. That doesn't make sense to me.
Bingo.
And also
bingo. I couldn't agree more. You and I have had that discussion many times of that. Well, is Hackett the right choice? You know,
I can't stand Hackett.
Rodgers will call the plays himself anyway.
That's so exactly it. He's a clown.
But so I need to throw it in here. So I'm not sure if you guys know much about the All-22 fantasy football platform, but essentially it is fantasy football that's meant to be like you have a real NFL roster. You have 53-man rosters. You have offensive linemen. You choose personnel packages. You have PFF statistics to help make decisions. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's going to get worse. I know it. Come on, Chris. You'd say about the Jets, it's going to get worse.
No. But the point is,
the entire Jets team.
So much of what we do in All-22 and on the All-22 fantasy football platform is we're trying to be like NFL GMs. We think we're giving users that experience. So when I talk about these situations, I'm talking about it for the NFL, but as like a fantasy football guy in my world, these are things we have to deal with too. So like these things hit home, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Sure. Of course.
I'm checking this out.
I think that sounds awesome. That is cool, actually. Yeah, that is awesome.
Hit me up after. I'll hook you guys up.
I was going to say, please. Yes, definitely do. I know Eric has my last one for you because I know you have to run. You have a lot of stuff you have to do and everything like that. And I know you gave us some time. We appreciate it.
Of course.
I have to ask this, what the New York Jets do. That's my team. Sad. I mean, Joe Douglas came out today and said he likes his tight end room. Okay. I mean, Ty Conklin's a good tight end, but I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, I like Rucker. I like Jeremy Rucker. He's going to be a nice player, but he's not a starting tight end caliber player. We going with Bowers? Are they trading down? I'm hearing that they like the kid Taylor from LSU, the wide receiver, who maybe – I was talking about this with Speedy on the ride here. I said, is it the fact that Neighbors maybe hid the talent so much because a lot of the balls went to Neighbors? Maybe Taylor really is that good. Do they trade up? There's a rumor there. They could trade up. Douglas threw out there. What do the New York Jets do? Because everybody's saying Brock Bowers. I don't necessarily think that is what's going to happen. I'm convinced they are going to trade down. If they see a Taylor still there, or there's so many good offensive linemen that I think they're going to trade down a couple picks, like 2 or 3 picks, and get that second round pick back.
So I think it depends where the quarterbacks go. And we talked about earlier, JJ McCarthy maybe going 11. But if he ends up falling that far, I think that's prime spot for the Jets to trade out and get a lot of capital for that pick. And if that happens, that'd be great for the Jets. But we are talking about the Jets here, right? So would I draft Brock Bowers?
Add that caveat. That's a big caveat there, Chris.
Would I draft Brock Bowers, right? We talk about tight ends not really blooming into what they should be until they're like 26, 27 years old. This is a win now team with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I wait, right? I don't want to get a guy that I have to wait on. We also know that the offensive line, although they improved it, isn't yet what it still needs to be, right?
Still injury concerns. With healthy Chris, it could be one of the best offensive lines in the league. The problem is, if healthy, they pretty much alluded today that Vera Tucker, they're not going to pick up his option. They want to see him. He's one of the better guards in the league when he's healthy. He's not healthy. He doesn't play. So they're not going to pick up the option. I mean, you have Moses injury prone, Vera Tucker injury prone, Tyron Smith injury prone. I mean, the only two guys that have been healthy was they got the guy from Baltimore, Simpson, and they have Tippmann even himself last year had injury concerns too.
And I really like Tippmann. Simpson, he's a good replacement level
I'm a
player.
Wisconsin guy, so for me, it's easy. That's
awesome.
That's great.
But Fawanga, Latham, those guys.
Do you like Latham?
I do like Latham.
You do?
I do like Latham. Yep.
So mixed on him. I get very nervous with his body type and everything.
I get it because you have Mekhi Becton, history,
so
and it's scary to think that I'm going to draft this massive offensive lineman and just hope that it pans out. Latham is a better prospect than Becton was, so you could at least sleep on that. Like,
but his father was. I thought his father was the tackle when I saw the videos. I thought his dad was the guy. His dad was bigger than he was.
Exactly. But guys, I do really appreciate you having me on.
Of course,
you guys have an awesome show. I hope you guys continue to thrive, and good luck come draft day.
Oh, man. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. All 22 co-founder Chris Lombardi. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check him out at all22_Chris on X or Twitter or whatever it's known and everything like that. But that was awesome, Speedy. That was a great find to find Chris. And Chris is going to reach out to us with getting involved with the all-22 stuff and everything like that. So, Eric, do we want to get into quickly? Do we want to get into do a little basketball quickly before we get before we get Mike on?
Playoffs. Playoffs start?
Playoffs to start. And by the way, Lyle, both of you, after I said the word soccer, you heard me correctly and said football after, right? You heard me say football?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
Speedy,
sure
you heard me say football after? Lyle,
it's still called
listen
soccer,
to the show!
It's soccer. Football is a pigskin. Soccer.
See, it's things like that. When he makes those comments, that makes you wish I picked Liverpool. That
Man
U. No, God, no. He likes Man U.
Man City.
You can't. No. Don't say Man U. He's going to correct you, and I don't. It's a very offensive thing to call them Man U, apparently. It's a whole tragic thing that happened. It's a very please.
Man City?
You could like Manchester City. That's fine. Matt likes Manchester City.
Wait, what's the soccer team that plays on the Yes Network?
NYCFC. That's the MLS genius.
No, they had some premiere on it as well, too. Back when.
West Ham. Wolves.
We're digressing. But anyway.
You know.
Did you see something about basketball, too?
And everything. I mean, look.
Did you say playoffs?
Well, like I said, really quickly, I picked Arsenal as my team. So Arsenal was the team that I went with. I'll be watching their game tomorrow at 3:00 as they play the Wolves tomorrow.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. So and everything like that, and everything of that nature. So that's why I went with Arsenal. Everybody's telling me that Arsenal's the team to go with. They have a better, brighter future. I like Saka too. Saka's a good player, but he didn't show up in the championship league against Bayern Munich. That was disappointing.
New York Red Bull.
Okay, then that's what. I mean, really, this is like.
Let's go.
Okay, let's get into basketball.
Oh, here we go.
There's a lot to get into with the NBA, of course. Everything is going to be set in stone after tonight. The Heat without Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier.
That's tough.
Well, if Butler would have played, they would have been in Philadelphia. They're going to be going up against the Chicago Bulls, who I think
don't sleep on them in this game. Basically, without
whoever wins, if Butler's not playing in the playoffs, which it sounds like he's not with the MCL sprain, whoever they play is everything. Is everything. My father getting away. He said Crystal Palace is the route to go. I went with Arsenal. Stop. You know what I'm saying? And everything. and everything of that nature. But listen, I'm sticking with Arsenal on this one. I know for a fact I got a ton of Arsenal gear from my wife. You know, who is this? Who's calling?
Jeff.
Oh, my man. What's up?
What's happening, my brother?
Oh, dude, let me tell you something. I'm so into this Premier League stuff. And, of course, the first game I watch, Arsenal loses. And I said, oh, God, they fit right with the narrative of all my teams that I like.
Yeah, I know. So I don't like Arsenal, dude. Their fans are really whiny. I know a bunch of their fans, and all they do is sit around and complain about the refs. They're like all beeves. It's like the all beef fan club.
See, that's the thing. I would be one of those guys. And you know me, Jeff. You know me for a while. I don't ever make excuses about the refs. I certainly don't make conspiracy theories about sports in certain aspects of things, but we won't get into that.
Oh,
well, yeah. But
I wanted to actually make a comment about what Eric just said. No shade on you, Eric. This is no shade. But you said don't sleep on the Bulls. You should go to the Twitter account of Andy Slater. Andy Slater is he's on Fox Sports Radio 640 in Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Miami Heat have a flight tomorrow at 1 p.m. scheduled for Boston, and the Chicago Bulls have a flight scheduled back to Chicago tonight.
Wow.
He went into the FAA records and found them and posted them.
That's
confidence is key. I don't know, Jeff. I mean,
but does this add to this?
Wow.
I mean, is Porter in charge of all this? I mean, is this what we're doing now? I mean, I really don't want to get
but I'm just telling you, like, it's like the Bulls have even quit on themselves because they're going to Miami tonight to play. So they should have packed for a couple of days because they should be going right from Miami to Boston to get ready to start the series. They have a flight booked home.
See, that's what I'm saying. I would have, even if they lose, I would have still stayed around in South Beach for a couple of days. What the hell? The season's over. James Harden parties during the playoffs. What's the difference if you're out of the playoffs? Might as well do it. Everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but like seeing that, the Bulls have quit, dude. The Bulls have quit.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's.
I feel like they have all season too.
But Kobe White's been very good the last couple of games, though. It's been a nice transition. And look, he was, I believe, a top 10 pick at one point out of North Carolina with the crazy hairdo and everything like that. But the dude can fly to the basket.
Does DeRozan help lead the way?
The problem with DeRozan is the playoff performance.
Does Vuk? Does he decide to play some defense, or is he just gonna
Vucevic,
sit around the rim?
I gotta give Billy Donovan credit, though, man.
I mean, do you honestly look at anyone on the Bulls and go, oh, they can carry a team to even a short-handed Heat team?
No,
but I don't think we said that about Chicago their last game when Kobe White went off and did his thing too. You know that was another part, but again, we haven't seen that consistency from Kobe.
Either way, I think the Celtics. This is. They could just prepare for the second round now at this point.
Yeah, dude. No matter who, like, I hate the Celtics. Their fans are racist. They kind of suck, right? But here's the thing: whether they play the Heat without Jimmy Butler or they play the Chicago Bulls, it's basically just a police escort into the second round.
No, it is 100%. I mean, the thing about Chicago is once you get to the second round, is it who are they going to play? I mean, everything like that. And there's a lot of scar tissue with them and everything like that. And everything of that nature, but Jeff, we do have our next guest in, so we are gonna have to let you go now. But we appreciate you calling in, dude, always. And again, I'm very listen. I feel like I got so much Arsenal stuff for my birthday. I can't go back now at this point. I would love to, but I think it's just like
you could have made a better choice.
But who would you have picked? Honestly,
I like Man City. I think they're pretty good. They just re-signed Phil Foden for a few more years.
Everybody loves Man City.
I get that that's kind of like front running. I hate Liverpool because John Henry, the owner, is a piece of trash, right? He's literally robbing the Red Sox and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yep, to put all of the money in there.
Yep. Right, yeah, like I hate that whole thing. Like that's, and like you might go, oh, you're a Red Sox fan. I'm not, I'm a Mets fan. But it's not even just that. They're also robbing the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like they're robbing the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I agree. No, I think, and that's it. And you really do wonder how much longer that the owners are going to let Henry work around this to the point where they're going to say, like, dude, are you all in with this team or are you not? The Boston Red Sox are such a huge market. You can't consistently let them every single year just fall flat on their face by the end of April, early May. You can't do that.
And if you were looking for like a fun team to root for, if you wanted like a dark horse that's also going to be in Champions League next year, that isn't kind of like one of the big three, the Arsenal, the Liverpool, the Man City, Aston Villa is a really fun team, and they got a great goal scorer in Ollie Watkins, and they're going to be fun to watch.
Aston Villa, I heard, is good. My dad brought up Crystal Palace. Like, are they?
Crystal Palace is probably. Look, your dad brought up Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to disrespect your dad by saying this, but they suck. They're dog shit. Right? They're the worst team to watch because they want to try to win 1-0 every game.
God,
there's no excitement there. They play a lot slower. I'm hoping Luton Town will stay in the Premier League and fight off relegation. There's a battle for relegation right now between Nottingham Forest, Sheffield, Luton Town, and who was the other? Oh, Burnley's down there. So I'm hoping Luton Town will survive that and stay there because they're really fun. But there's a couple of teams that are lower in the table. Table is the standings. You got to learn the vernacular, Josh.
I know, and I am. I'm in the process of doing it, having an understanding of it, trying to figure out with everything. We're
going to quiz you next week, Josh.
No, please don't. There's so much I still have to learn about this.
Right.
But
there's a couple of teams that are down the bottom that are fun, like Luton Town. There's going to be a team that gets promoted in Leicester City. Leicester City, they're pretty fun. They actually won the Premier League
I love
6 or 7 years ago.
Be my football guy. Jeff, you're the best, man. You're my football guy now. Oh man.
Yeah, dude, I can help you out. But if you're looking for a sleeper for Champions League, I mean, Aston Villa is going to be a fun one.
Ugh. Well,
they're
Jeff,
probably not going to win, but Aston Villa would be fun. Go Ollie Watkins.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate you calling, buddy. Appreciate it, man. That was awesome. I'm gonna have to get Crispy. I know you have his number and everything like that, so I have to. I don't know. I've tried to. I can always message him on Facebook or whatever like that. But take a quick break. Do we go get right to Mike? Mike's ready to go. He's shaking his head. Yeah, I'm ready to go. So
let's go.
All right, let's Mike.
Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Luchene, who is the co-founder of NFL Rough Draft, joins us now. Mike, how you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
Of course, we appreciate it. We just had Chris Lombardi on. We wanted to get you on because here's the thing: our show's on Fridays. The first round of the draft, I almost said mock draft. The first round of the draft is Thursday, so we're unfortunately not going to be on the first round, but we'll be there for the second round. Hopefully, hoping is a strong word for the New York Jets and what they do and everything of that nature. I mean, Chris, literally, I loved Chris coming on, but boy, and I love how he kept saying, I don't want to poke the bear or do anything like that, but it was just throwing a pop, like a grenade or something at the Jets and everything like this. And I just took it. I said, what am I going to say? The Jets suck. What do you want me to tell you? You know, everything like that. But Mike, we want to get into everything. We saw the mock drafts, and we saw your mock draft, and there's a lot of interesting takes to the mock draft. And I start with, I guess we'll start locally with Eric's team, who was a New York Giants fan, and we saw Odunze was the pick at, I believe it was sixth overall. Why Odunze when Neighbors was there available? I'm very intrigued and curious about that because I love Odunze actually just as much as Neighbors.
Yeah, so I think the mock draft was that was the other guy from NFL Rough Draft. That was Ray Mencio. But
okay.
I can speak to I think what he was thinking with that pick.
I just went whatever was the recent one. I got to find yours then. That's what I got to do.
Oh,
go on.
But I can speak to what he was thinking there. I think it's just Odunze and Neighbors are really close, and I think there's sort of this perception in the media that Neighbors is far and away the better prospect. And I think a lot of that comes from, the media likes height, weight, speed. And, Neighbors showed up to the combine and had those, or his pro day, and had, ridiculous testing numbers. And, he's certainly an elite receiving prospect. But Odunze has got strong hands. He bailed Michael Penix Jr. actually out of a lot of sort of average throws this past season. He put up that production at Washington with two other day 2 wide receivers in this draft. So, I think it's really kind of like a coin toss. We as a site are listing Odunze just barely ahead of Neighbors. just because Odunze is just by all accounts, he has a really high character. And when you're using a pick that high, that's it's a big deal. And it's not to speak ill of Neighbors or Marvin Harrison in that regard, but Odunze showed up and did everything he was supposed to do. He was at the combine, he worked out.
He actually did something, not like Harrison, who was like, I'm just gonna get picked in the top 4 anyway. Who cares? I don't have to do anything.
Right. Or Neighbors sort of like waited and was a little bit more of a pro day participant.
Got it.
And sticking with the Giants, though, I mean,
of course you're sticking with the Giants.
They can go a lot of different routes: quarterback, receiver, lineman.
Take JJ McCarthy, I dare you. Do it. Come on, Mike. He wants to do it, don't you? He wants it. But, who's Daniel Jones?
But yeah, I mean, wide receiver makes a lot of sense because obviously we need more talent on that front end there to help whatever quarterback to actually maybe get open and have a chance to throw him. But at the same time, did the Giants do enough already to bolster that offensive line to not have to draft a lineman 6? Did they, is Jones going to be healthy enough where they don't have to take quarterback at 6? I mean, what are your thoughts on their direction?
Yeah, so personally, if it were me, I'd be looking quarterback there. I don't think that one gets to 6. I'm talking about one of the 4, obviously. If that did happen, I think it would be very difficult to not draft one. It sounds like that's not in their plans, but who knows if that's a smokescreen or whatnot. They came out the other day. The GM said, he doesn't think he's taking a quarterback, but it sure doesn't seem like Daniel Jones is the answer at this point. And you've got 4 guys in this draft who, at least have the chance to be. And I know that when we look back 3 years from now, 2 or 3 of them will probably be busts just because that's the way it usually works out. But you've got to kind of keep trying until you get it right when it comes to quarterback in the NFL, because unless you've got a guy on a rookie contract, you've got to have one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league if you're going to be competing for a Super Bowl.
Sticking with everything that's going on, in your opinion, we've gone back and forth on this on the show. Who is the number 1 quarterback? And you can include, you don't have to say May or Daniels or Caleb Williams, who, by the way, I'll say it on air, I'm not the biggest fan of Caleb Williams. I understand why the Chicago Bears did it. They had to do it because if he does turn out to be good, then they didn't draft him, then they're in trouble. My opinion has always been Michael Penix is the best quarterback in this draft. Now, the issue, of course, with Penix is he's older, he's gotten injured in college a good amount, but go look at what he did at Indiana. Even forget Washington. Indiana, he was a stud there in the Big Ten, a tough conference, and he goes to Washington 1 year, and he's in a national championship game. That's pretty good. Who is your quarterback you would say, yep, this is the guy? Even if he doesn't start right away, I know for a fact I could trust him to be a franchise quarterback in the future. For me, it's Penix.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's Caleb Williams. I know that that's not, a hot take or anything like that. And, I guess to even, further sort of that opinion of like not really making a hot take here, quarterbacks are really hard. It's
trust me, I'm a Jet fan, Mike. I know quarterbacks are hard. We can't freaking find one.
And I mean, you look at the team picking first overall, the Chicago Bears have never had a quarterback.
No.
I mean, they've never had a quarterback. I've been watching football for almost 35 years, and they've never had a quarterback.
I mean, Jim McMahon is probably the best in their franchise, and even he was solid, but he wasn't anything to rave home about or anything like that.
Right. Figure if you had a salary cap and free agency back then, that team's not going to be able to keep that defense together. They probably never win a Super Bowl. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to find the quarterback. In my opinion, I think you've got a top 4. I see where you're going with Penix, and again, that could totally be right. The reason I'm a little bit lower on him, I have him as more of a 2nd round pick, is just because you've got the medical, which, you mentioned his time at Indiana. He was very productive, but he had 4 season-ending injuries, 2 ACLs, 2 shoulder surgeries. It sounds like he got a clean bill there, but then you've also got to wonder about durability, which I think that's a separate issue than just the pre-existing, medical flag. And, you know, you watch the national championship game and that was on full display. The guy's got at worst, he's got a first round left tackle and a second round right tackle. He's got, you know, one of the top 3 receivers in the draft, 2 other receivers who are going to be day 2 picks, and nobody touched him all year. You know, you get to the Michigan game and he finally had some pressure, and, you know, I think that sort of raised some of those concerns where, you know, he doesn't have a clean pocket, his accuracy breaks down. When he gets hit, he hasn't been very durable throughout his career. So that's where I worry a little bit about him. But he throws a great deep ball, and you're right, he's got a chance.
Really quick before Eric goes, you don't think JJ McCarthy is better than him, do you? Like, you don't think he's higher on the list, do you? Oh, Mike.
So I caught a lot of flack on Twitter.
You might catch more on this show from the fan.
Absolutely. So going back to January, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I said, you know, this is a great mock draft, but, you know, I noticed JJ McCarthy's not in the first round. I think he's probably a top 4 quarterback in the top 15 pick. And I had a bunch of people that were like, we're bookmarking this to come back and laugh at you, you know, like typical Twitter stuff. So here's where, again, you don't know if Penix is going to be better than McCarthy or McCarthy's going to be better than Penix. We'll find out in the next few years. But my argument for McCarthy is he just turned 21 years old.
That's exactly what Chris said. Chris said he's so young that he's just fresh out of the lab almost. You can almost work with him.
Right, and he was a bigger recruit than Drake May. So same recruiting class, bigger recruit than Drake May. And now I think where people were down on him a couple months ago was the obvious, you know, like, oh, well, Michigan runs the ball every play. And they took that to mean, well, so that means he's not capable of, you know, winning a game. But, you know, he just turned 21 a couple months ago. He beat Ohio State twice. That game from not this year, but the game from 2022, he had like 3 touchdowns, threw like 24 passes or something like that, and had a really, really solid game. He's got arm strength. He's got mobility. He's got the ability to keep the play alive. You saw it in the Rose Bowl against Alabama. He drove the team down the field for a big game-winning drive against a good defense. So that's my argument for J.J. McCarthy. But again, you know, with quarterbacks, you never know. That could sound really, really silly a few years
This is what Joe Shane's going to have, like a draft day thing. It's going to say J.J. McCarthy no matter what. That's what it's going to be.
I wouldn't blame him.
But also,
listen, he's not. Mike actually did convince me a little bit there about McCarthy. You're the first one. Like Chris did a little bit, but that was probably. But Speedy and Eric are the 2 Giant fans, and you can't convince them otherwise.
Another, I guess, point that could help with this, and Mike, stop me if I'm wrong here. Does it help
JJ McCarthy no matter what? Come on, Eric.
Who his head coach was. So you know now he's coachable from an NFL perspective as well, too. Does that
it's the type of offense that he ran too, right? That's a pro style offense. This isn't one of these guys, like you look at Bo Nix in Oregon, none of that translates. Absolutely none of that translates to the NFL. And people are looking at Bo Nix's completion percentage. Oh, the guy completed 80% of his passes, or almost 80% of his passes. And I don't mean to knock Bo Nix, but that's because he was throwing 1-yard passes to Troy Franklin on every play. So that's not going to work in the NFL. And so obviously the Michigan offense, that translates a lot better to the pro game.
We actually have a question from a listener, and they want to know, who do you think is going to be the better receiver? Is it going to be Adonai Mitchell or Xavier Worthy out of Texas, in your eyes?
I feel really strongly on this one that it's going to be Worthy. I've had Worthy. I've said since
Josh Mitchell, by the way, good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because you see a lot of people are split on that. I think after you get past those top 3 receivers, Brian Thomas is the clear 4 in my opinion, and then it's Worthy. And I think a lot of people will look at that 40 time and say like, oh well, that's oversimplifying it. It's just a 40 time. Yeah, but that type of speed is something that NFL executives take really seriously. And then you could look at John Ross and say, like, okay, he didn't work out. Yeah, he didn't, but he went a lot higher than people thought he was going to go. Henry Ruggs is another one. I mean, he had that really obviously unfortunate, situation. But before that happened, in that second year, he was developing into a very, very good receiver.
Speedy, you said
A
that.
lot higher. What's that?
I think I was looking at Speedy. He was saying that at one point about Henry Ruggs too. He said he was developing into a very nice player before the incident happened.
Well, the second year, I didn't like him as a prospect though as much.
Yes, but the second year it worked out well.
Yep. And I mean, if you take a look at, where he got drafted, though, he got drafted a lot higher than where people thought he'd be. People thought that, he would have gone ahead of Judy and Lamb. And I mean, I'm sorry that he shouldn't have gone ahead of Judy and Lamb. And probably, Lamb probably should have gone ahead of Henry Ruggs, if we're being honest. But, he's
unfortunately.
What's that?
No, it's a listener of the show who's a Cowboys fan. He didn't want CeeDee Lamb, so don't tell him that.
Mike, I'm going to describe it even further. He wanted them to draft Xavier McKinney.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? That worked out. Yeah. That worked out okay for you, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think Worthy's one of those guys who could end up getting drafted a lot higher than people think. And I know some people have him at the end of the first round. It wouldn't surprise me to see him go mid-first round. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it wouldn't shock me to see him with the Jets. It wouldn't shock me. I'm not predicting that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
You hear that?
Wow. All right.
Okay. So is that who you think the Jets are going to take? Then we're going to get in this. I'll let Eric ask his question first, then we'll get into the Jets after.
We know a lot of the big names round one, but who are some of the steals that could be in second round, third round?
It's a good question.
Probably no one's talking about that. Should be.
Wide receiver?
Any.
Okay. So I was just on a different show last night. I was talking about Trevin Wallace. He's a linebacker, and I know that position's been devalued. But this is a third-year junior. He was a big recruit. He just turned 21 years old. He showed up to the Senior Bowl. He was good there because they changed the rules this year. Juniors could play at the Senior Bowl. If you take a look at his height, his weight, I believe it's his arm length, and then his 40 time, they're exactly the same as Roquan Smith, who was the 8th pick in the draft in 2018. His explosion numbers at the combine, his vertical and his broad, were a lot better than Roquan Smith's. And now I'm not saying that he's going to be Roquan Smith, but I'm also not saying that he's going to be the 8th pick in the draft. So this is a guy who, isn't even really he's not a lock in everybody's top 100s. And I just think that he's someone, though, who's going to go higher than people think, in the second or third round. And I'll even go as far as to say, Peyton Wilson's a big buzz name at linebacker. I think Wallace goes ahead of him.
Talking to co-creator of NFL Road Draft, Mike Luchene, joining us. Mike, we talked about the New York Jets. I'm a Jet fan, dumpster fire. I take all the hits with it. It comes with the territory. It's fine. I'm so used to it. Who is it? You're hearing so many different scenarios. Are they taking Brock Bowers? Are they trading up after Joe Douglas said he talked about that today? Are they trading down, getting a second-round pick? Are they taking Feltanu from Washington, Florida, from Oregon State, one of these offensive linemen? Are they going to take Thomas out of LSU that everybody seems to be enamored with now, who I actually was thinking is, and I was talking to Chris earlier about that, was, Thomas's talent hidden from being co-receiver with Neighbors and, everything like that. Where do the Jets go? Because in my opinion, I think the depending on who it is available, I would trade down and recoup that second round pick because there is still needs that they need. And yes, I still think they need an offensive lineman, 100%. Now, their offensive line could be the best in football. It can, but it's just the injury-prone guys that they have on that team. Where do the Jets go in your eyes, in your opinion?
Yeah, so, you're clearly a very intelligent New York Jets fan because you really hit the nail on the head with a lot of things you said right there.
Say that. Wait, I'm going to say that in my a guest said I was intelligent. I'm writing this down on the date and the time, 6:49. Speedy, did you get that? Okay.
Can we edit that, sweetie?
No, shut up. You.
Yeah, but you don't have a dumpster fire there. I know they have been for the last 30 years, but
You're being so
I mean,
modest and kind.
you've got a very good roster there.
Yes.
There aren't a lot of teams who are going to win the Super Bowl when their starting quarterback gets hurt on the first drive of the season. So they've got Aaron Rodgers back, and Joe Douglas has done a very nice job of building that roster this offseason and putting them in a position where they don't have to take any specific player at this spot in the first round. Could they use another receiver? Absolutely. I think if one of those top 3 receivers gets there, it's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, I think it would be a doomsday. The only reason why, and not to cut you off, Mike, is only because I get worried about this Williams thing, and it's going to be great having Mike Williams there. But the fact that he said he'll be ready by week 1, and I'm like thinking, okay, he'll be ready by week 1, but do you know how complicated the Aaron Rodgers playbook is? It's ridiculous with the cadences and the audibles that he comes with at the line of scrimmage. You got to be there full training camp with that playbook.
Yeah, and Mike Williams is 30 years old anyway. He's coming off of a torn ACL. I thought that's an example of sort of what I was talking about when I said Joe Douglas has done a nice job. So he signs Mike Williams. That's a relatively risk-free deal. So now, if you don't draft a receiver in the first round, that's fine. You've got Mike Williams. But my philosophy is, you're drafting that high, you have to take the best player available. One of those 3 receivers there, you've got to do it. And then if not, you mentioned Brian Thomas. That's definitely not too high for Brian Thomas. He's, you mentioned.
I thought you were going to say Bowers. I thought you were going to say Bowers. I was prepared.
Bowers makes plenty of sense, and he could very well be the pick. The one hesitation I have on Bowers is that regime's. Let's be honest. They need to have a great season to save their jobs.
Yep.
And when you're taking a tight end at 10, and Bowers is a great tight end, he could be the pick. He would be worthy of that being that pick. He's not going to have as much of an impact as a rookie as, one of these franchise tackles might have, or Brian Thomas, or, one of the top 3 receivers. But yeah, I like another thing you mentioned. I like what you said about trading down. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if they'll be able to find someone to trade down with, because you've got a lot of those offensive linemen that are sort of grouped together. And, I guess if somebody really wants Bowers, or, someone really wants.
I did see in the mock draft, they had, you guys had Cincinnati trading above the Jets with the Bears to take Bowers. So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, that would be, so that was the other guy that was Ray, but that makes sense. I love Brock Bowers. I just think, when the regime's on the hot seat, they need immediate impact. Not to say that, Bowers would be a backup tight end or anything like that. It's just, it takes tight ends a couple of years, as you guys know, to get to where, they eventually end
up. I just think of Kittle, and I think of Kelsey. And then it was so funny. I think Errol Speedy, has brought up Kyle Pitts the other day. He always brings up Kyle Pitts. And I always say to myself, well, who has Kyle Pitts had as a quarterback? That's the thing. He hasn't had now he's got Kirk Cousins, and now I think you're going to see the full talent of Kyle Pitts and why he was a top 5 pick. But the thing is, it's like you said, Mike, there's so many. You have Faltano from Washington, Flogger from Oregon State, J.C. Latham from Alabama, Fashanu, who they have. He was supposed to be the next big. They compared him to Penei Sewell at one point. He seems to have fallen out of favor in this draft, and there's a guy that could slide. And there's so many good tackles in this draft that I feel like my concern is Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses goes down. Oh crap, we're back to square one again. Well, now what do we do? And everybody keeps saying it. Like Mel Kiper always says it. They need to have immediate impact. They need to have immediate. That's fine. But if Tyron Smith goes down, Mel, who is your left tackle now? For Aaron Rodgers. They don't have one. That's the part that I think that people are forgetting. That's why I would be fine. Which it's not the sexy pick. Everybody, right, Mike? Everybody wants that. They want the shiny toy. They want the wide receiver, the guy that's going to make the unbelievably amazing plays. Now, again, like you said, Mike, if a Doomsday is available, I mean, you're going to run up to the podium and do it. But I think you could trade down in the first round. You could maybe get Thomas even at 13th or 14th, and then take an offensive lineman in the second round and go that route. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I'm just still really, really concerned if an injury happens to this offensive line. They're screwed because you got Vera Tucker hurt, Moses hurt, Smith hurt, Titman, who I love, he was injured last year. I don't know. I'm concerned.
Yeah, and you might be okay at right tackle with Carter Warren. He might be all right, but you're right at left tackle. If something happens to Tyron Smith, that's trouble. And you could trade down another. You mentioned most of those. That top.
I really want to trade down. That's the route. They need to get that second round pick, and they could go get, like you said, a Worthy or somebody like that. Even maybe if they could reach him, get that to the second round. He might not make it second, but there's so many. You have the kid from Oregon, another good wide. There's so many good wide receivers in this draft too.
Well, yeah, that's where you might want to take the tackle in the first round because that's got a little bit. There's a little bit more of a drop off at tackle after the top tier than receiver. There are plenty of receivers in this draft. I think we have 16 or 17 of them in our top 100 right now.
The Vikings, very, very interesting in this draft, especially the first round. The quarterback room is what it is now, but you still have Jefferson, and
for now,
trying to keep him and whatnot. I mean, the quarterback they draft could ultimately help that decision one way or the other. Obviously, I'm sure they're thinking of that too. But what route do you think they go?
And that's a great question. And I think, we get caught up at looking at this as sort of fans and like what's best for the team long term and all this. And, one thing I think we have to remember is there are regimes running these teams and they're worried about their jobs. And so the Vikings have, a good situation with their head coach and GM there, but they need to get a quarterback because they need to win. This isn't a first-year regime. They're going to find themselves getting fired if they're playing Sam Darnold next year and they win 6 games or something like that.
I actually like Kevin O'Connell too. I think he's actually a pretty good coach, O'Connell.
Yeah, absolutely. But no one's going to be able to win with backup quarterback, unfortunately. So I think they've got to go get a quarterback. And I think if you take a look at that trade that they made, where they traded up, they used their seconds to trade up and get 23. They're getting ready to trade up for a quarterback. To me, that's a telltale sign that they're just waiting to pounce on a quarterback trade.
Who's a guy that's getting overhyped in this draft that you just see like, this guy's not going to work in the NFL, but he's getting so much love and admiration in this draft class that I don't see it.
Well, a couple come to mind right off the top of my head. First one's Bo Nix, and I think quarterbacks always get overhyped. I mentioned him, a little bit earlier. I think best case, like ceiling, you're looking at Mark Bulger, which would be fine.
That's okay. Bulger has some nice years. Oh, he froze.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there we go. I got him back. Okay, there we go. You were saying Mark Bulger. I think that shocked everybody, Mike.
Yes. So I think that's his ceiling. His floor, I think, is more like, here's a guy who gets picked in the middle of the third round. And everyone's like, oh, like we're surprised, but maybe we shouldn't be. And then so I already talked a little bit about him. Another one, though, is Xavier Legette, the wide receiver from South Carolina. And, one of the reasons we've been accurate with our top 100 is we're not like doing anything to reinvent the wheel or trying to figure out something new. We're just looking back at what's happened in the past and sort of saying, well, here it is happening again. And when I look at Xavier Legette, so he's, again, receiver, 5th-year senior, no production at all until this year, but he's an incredible height, weight, speed athlete. Now, the deal with him is he's like Cordell Patterson all over again, where if you look at his measurables, you say, wow, this guy's Julio Jones. But when you take a closer look and look at route running and some of the things that matter more than actual height, weight, and speed, you take a step back and say, well, in a loaded wide receiver class, do we really want to be using a second-round pick on the next Cordell Patterson or Laviska Shenault? And, for me, I think he's overhyped.
I don't know. We got to give some love to the linemen too. I mean, very big in this draft. Quite a few names that can go there as well. But do we start to see a shift with linemen maybe go second round just because of the talent pool, of quarterbacks and wide receivers in round 1.
So we're thinking offensive lineman here?
Offensive, yep.
Yeah, so I think you've got that the top tier. Josh mentioned everyone in that tier, except I would also include Amarius Mims. I think Amarius Mims is, if he went back to school, he's probably a top 5, maybe even a top 3 pick in next year's draft. He just doesn't have a lot of experience, but if he stays
I didn't even bother to mention Alt, Mike. We all know about Alt and everything.
Oh yeah, and Alt's going to be obviously a top 5, 6, 7 pick. So once you get past there, you have some guys who sort of would be serviceable second round picks, but they have some question marks. Tyler Guyton. A lot of people have him as a firm first round pick in that late first round. You see him mocked to Dallas a lot. He's a guy who could possibly fall to the second round because he plays down to his competition. Even at the Senior Bowl, like he looked like a guy, and certain snaps where he was a first round left tackle. But other times he looked like the sort of mediocre right tackle that he was at Oklahoma. So he's a guy who could be there in the second round. The BYU kid, I don't know how you say his last name, Kingsley Sawamo.
Yeah,
I don't want to butcher his last name. I feel bad. But he's another one. He's there. He's going to be there in the second round. He's got some sort of diva qualities, though. So he got recruited by Oregon. He could have played for anyone when he came out of high school, but he didn't want to go that far from home. So after his first year at Oregon, he went back and played for BYU the rest of his career. So that makes you wonder, some people look at him as a first round pick. Are you willing to take this guy in the first round and then, he has issues with wherever he has to live in the country? Or is that going to be, a place where you feel a little bit more comfortable in the second round? And then the third one, Patrick Paul. He's got really long arms from the University of Houston. And for me, he's a really solid second round pick.
Right. Well, Mike, we appreciate you coming on with us this evening, man. We really do. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy the draft on Thursday night. I'd love to get you on in the next few weeks so we can do a little draft recap show with you and get you on. How can the fans reach out to you on social media and follow all your content and everything?
Yeah, so I'm just on Twitter or whatever it's called now, X, NFL Rough Draft, at NFL Rough Draft. But yeah, I'm there. And then our website's NFLroughdraft.com. We've got a vertical board that we give out around next Wednesday. It's got all the players listed by position and what round they should be drafted. But yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate you having me on. It's a lot of fun.
Go. Oh, man. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Co-creator of NFLRoughDraft.com, Mike Luchene, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Enjoy the draft next week.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Have a good one, man. Let's get into a little bit quickly about basically what do we got to do. We were talking about the NBA.
Yep.
We're figuring that out. By the way, Mike, Chris, awesome job tonight. Speedy, great finds. Thank you so much, Speedster. The old Speedster!
Best producer.
JJ McCarthy, no matter what.
Trying to give me nightmares, sir?
Well,
did you notice?
Dude, you were so excited when I drafted Kadarius Toney. Don't give me that.
No, I wasn't. I was Jeff.
Did you notice what Mike said? Who was the lineman? Alt 6, 7, 8. Your answer's 6.
They're not taking a lineman. They're taking a quarterback or a wide receiver. They're not taking a lineman. They're not taking a lineman.
How do you know?
They're not taking the lineman. It's a quarterback or receiver. Speedy, am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Cardinals, Chargers could both take receivers. I could see it. I could see it.
Wait a minute, but then there's still one more guy left.
Okay. I could see them passing on McCarthy and taking a lineman and then drafting a quarterback in the second or third round. Is all.
Nope.
I could see that. I could see
Not
it
gonna
happening.
happen.
I'm worried they're going to take McCarthy
They are
too,
gonna take
just as
McCarthy.
much as anybody.
They
But
will. It will happen. And the Patriots will trade with the Vikings, and they're going to take either May or Daniels. That's what's
that
gonna
I
happen.
think is inevitable.
Yeah, because the Patriots seem like they want to trade down, which we didn't
Yes.
get to that. But let's get to a little bit of the
Vikings seem to like McCarthy too.
well, let's get into
They
the
love Drake May though.
let's get into the basketball really quick. So there's a lot
Let's go.
happening. Clearly, we talked a little bit about the Celtics before and what they're going to do. They're going to move on. You got Knicks, Sixers. It seems like Joel Embiid is not 100%. Very curious where this series goes. It seems like the Sixers players, a lot of them are talking a lot. Reed said some stuff. Which, again, he's not wrong. This is the part where everybody's got to understand. He's not wrong when he said the Knicks are the easier team. Yes, it was a choice between the Knicks and the Celtics. You're choosing to play the Knicks. That's the thing. And I think the media is trying to stir the pot and spin the words of he's trash to the Knicks. I don't think that's exactly what he's doing.
You know what you call that, Josh?
Motivation.
You call that chalkboard talk.
Oh my God.
I mean, come on. What other motivation do you need? What else do you need?
I mean, look.
Brunson's not the best player.
Speed, do we have any NBA music we could play for these predictions?
We'll get some.
All right, can we get the old NBA on NBC theme?
Yep.
Let's keep going to it, Josh. Let's just keep going.
All right. Let's do a little prediction. So
we don't have. Let's just Speedy. We got this.
Okay. What? We'll do a quick first round series. So the Celtics are over there playing. You're going with Boston?
Boston.
Me too. We'll do this quick. Speedy's doing Boston.
Even if Tatum misses 2 games.
Knicks. What? Why would he miss 2 games?
Rest.
That's it. Knicks Sixers.
Knicks. Give me the Knicks.
And how many games?
How many games? Let's see. 6.
I'm going to say 5.
I wanted to say 5.
I'm going to say 5 because I think Embiid is going to, if they're down 2 games to none and they're down early in game 3 in Philly. And by the way, the Knicks fans are going to be all over at Wells Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks need this. They want this. They have to have this. And everybody the Sixers are lucky. The only reason why the Sixers won the other night was because Butler got hurt. So I'll take the Knicks in 5 games.
I do want to say 5.
Embiid's not healthy. He's not 100%. He's probably at best 60%. And you're going to see he's going to quit. I think at best you're going to get 3 or 4 games out of Embiid this series. At best.
I think we're going to get that one maxi game that you just like, all right.
Orlando. Am I right, Speedy? Or who's the 3 seed? Oh no.
No, it's the Bucks and the Pacers.
Bucks and Milwaukee. Bucks and Milwaukee. Bucks and the Pacers.
Do not those Pacers. They saw the Bucks.
They're pacing themselves, right, Eric?
I like it. That joke, nice.
But
we've seen this before, though. We've seen the Pacers in Milwaukee going head-to-head big games right before that finals tournament of the in-season play. And who won that one? I'm just saying.
The great in-season tournament.
Let's go. Give me the Pacers in this one. I don't think Giannis is healthy enough. And that's going to be a big difference.
I'm going to say I'll go, and again, the Boston won't be a sweep. I'll go 7 games. I think it's going to be tight. I think Indy actually will beat them in Milwaukee. But you know what? I'm going to say 6. I think in Indy is where it's going to happen.
Halliburton.
I think Halliburton and Siakam are going to be a big thing against Milwaukee. It's going to be very tough. And Doc Rivers stinks. The greatest hire ever.
No Giannis and Miles Turner collecting those rebounds.
Even when Giannis was playing, they weren't winning because they hired Doc Rivers. So I'm going to go. And then you have Orlando and Cleveland, that's the toughest series to figure out because here's the thing. Cleveland, they've said it. If they don't get to the finals, which they're not going to, Donovan Mitchell's going to want out. And I think Mitchell's going to the Heat or he's going to the Lakers. That's where I think he's going to go.
For a year until his contract expires.
I don't think the Knicks really want him anymore, if that's where you're alluding to. I think they're way past that at this point. But to me, because I think he's just too soft as well. He started in the playoffs last year and he started the year before. But the Utah, I think that's his problem. It's intriguing because Bickerstaff's also coaching for his job. Cleveland has the better depth. But I think, in my opinion, Orlando's got the best player. You tell me if I'm wrong with Banchero.
Say it.
Paolo Banchero. Dookie Blue Devil.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna go with the Magic in this one. I am. I'm gonna say Orlando wins it in 7. I like Orlando in this series. I think Banchero's gonna outdo Garland. I also like Orlando's defense a lot. They have a really good defense team. I like their depth. So I'm going to go with Orlando. I think Cleveland's just too soft for the playoffs. That's my biggest issue with them.
Banchero got out of there before he got to be coached by John Shire.
Oh, yeah.
You go next on this one.
I actually do agree with him. I also like the length of those shooters for between Banchero and also Franz Wagner.
Wagner, who all of a sudden is this big. I mean, I know he was a first-round pick, but
he was a 6th overall pick or something like that.
Yeah, Come on.
I like the depth. I still like the depth of the Cavs a little more too, like you were saying, Josh. But they also have a lot of guys that play hero ball too, and I think that
Garland. Garland. I'm not worried about it. Is Mitchell going to step up in the playoffs? And obviously, it's everybody else. Jared Allen. What's he going to do? I have no idea. They have other guys too, but Eric.
Listen, Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell,
Cleveland. This is for you.
Garland, Evan Mobley. Great regular season guys. Are they playoff guys? I don't think so. And you know what? Boncaro is on his way. You just mentioned Franz Wagner. But you know what? Mo Wagner, I think, could be
it really is.
He's kind of difference maker in this series too, especially if Mobley and Allen are banged up. I hate to agree, but I'm agreeing. It's going Orlando.
All right.
Orlando, man.
And then we have the Thunder, who are going to go up against either the Pelicans or the Kings. I think the Kings are going to win tonight, especially with Zion out. And the Pelicans are also, I believe, the worst home record team, one of the worst in the league this year, 21-19, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go with the Kings to win this game, but I'm going to go with the Thunder to win the series. I think they're just so talented. SGA, unbelievable, really good. That team's got so much length, so much depth on that team. It's crazy. I mean, everything of that nature. So
I would be shocked if that series, if it is the Kings.
Speedy, you need to raise Eric's mic, he said. My father messaged me, says, raise Eric's mic.
Thank you, Nelson.
There you go.
Here we go. Okay. Here we go.
But I'm going to go with the Thunder, yes.
Kings, Thunder? Woo! I mean, are we counting out New Orleans? Yes.
Yeah, because Zion's out.
If it's the Kings and Thunder, I think that goes 7. I think Sabonis just has some crazy.
He could have a good game, but it's a matter of the depth of the Kings. I don't think he's going to be able to reach. I mean, it's.
But the only thing. The Thunder have kind of that equalizer for the Kings in this matchup with Holmgren, with Chet being out there, on the boards and everything, and Bronco Williams. Basically, I do think it goes 7, but I think OKC gets it.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking actually the same way. I think the Kings will keep it close.
Yeah. Okay, you got the next one, the Nuggets and the Lakers. And Lakers have a lot to play for because they got wiped out in the Western Conference Finals against this team last year. And to me, listen, we know what they are, LA, with Davis and with LeBron. And then there's reports coming out that if they don't win it this year, which they're not going to, that Anthony Davis could be on the block and they could do something else. Get another superstar in here to help with LeBron. Probably Anthony Davis would be a nice pickup for the Knicks. I'm just saying it would be nice, right, Speedy? You would agree with that one
until he gets hurt in 5 games.
Thanks, Speedy, for really just poo-pooing that one. Okay.
Thank you.
Stay away.
Stay away from Karl Anthony Towns too. To me, I'm gonna go. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Denver in this one. I think it's gonna be too much. They have, in my eyes, everybody's still forgetting this. He's the best player in the NBA. Jokic, man, he's the best player. I don't care what anybody says. Best player all around. Give me the Denver Nuggets. I said they did the favorites in the Western Conference. I don't care that they're not the number 1 seed.
You know what, Josh? It's kind of getting repetitive that I'm agreeing with you here.
Well, the first round is very simple. It's really, you can't really. I mean, the only tough ones would be the 4 or 5s, which we did with Orlando and Cleveland.
But that's the thing. You have the experience already of Denver in the playoffs, making a deep run, knowing what it takes. Who's going to stop them in the West? I don't think anyone can.
No. I think they're going to the finals anyway.
Oh, you know what? We'll say 5 games.
Oh, that's being generous. That's being nice.
I want to say sweep. I do want to say sweep, but
it's
say
sweet,
5.
really.
LeBron hits a game winner one of the games.
3 versus 6 is what, Speedy? That is the Minnesota?
Timberwolves and the Suns.
It's a good one. That's a tough series. This might be the toughest series other than Cleveland, Orlando to figure out because you got, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, and this has to work, right? You got all the star power, but then you have Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert coming on strong. It's the experience. Where we go with this? How does it work? I'm going to go with Phoenix in this one. I'm not confident. If they lose this series, one of these guys from Phoenix is going to ask out, and I think it's going to be Devin Booker. I'm going to go Phoenix.
Interesting. I think this is also a tough matchup. I just want to know who's this. I think it's going to come down to second chance points basically. And in that aspect, who do you have? You have Towns and you have Gobert pulling down the rebounds compared to just Nurkic or however.
Nurkic.
Yes, thank you. And that's a big difference right there. You know, Anthony Edwards, he can score with anybody. Edwards can score with Durant, can score with Booker, can score with Beal. And you know what? I don't think Phoenix fully gelled this season altogether yet. And I don't think they're going to – I think they'll continue that in the playoffs there.
I mean, they got Vogel, who's won a championship before, so at least they have an experienced coach. But, I mean, how much is that? I mean, I thought Vogel did a great job in Indiana. I really did think he did a great job in Indiana. He was just succumbed to the Lakers with LeBron, and they did what they wanted.
Let's go Minnesota.
Okay.
In 7.
Okay. And then the last one, the 4-5, which would be
Clippers Mavericks.
It's a good one too. I actually like the Clippers. I think I said they're the biggest team that I think could beat the Nuggets. They have a chip on their shoulder. They have Lou's won a championship. I think like I said, the Clippers to me. Oh God, who is it on? Not the Clippers. Who is it on?
The Mavericks.
Yeah, I'm forgetting.
Jason Kidd coaches the Mavericks.
Thank you. I don't remember who it was. No, I remember who it was. It's a matter of with where Dallas is and finishing this. It's if they lose in the first round too, you get the winner with Luka. Where's his headspace at? Speedy's dream is the Knicks getting him. I mean, come on.
Yes.
I mean, that would be
okay. Yes.
You know, put him.
Says no?
But who put him back with Jalen? Put him back with Jalen Brunson. They got to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago.
Who said no?
So to me, I'm actually gonna. It's an interesting one. I'm gonna go with the Clippers. I think mental toughness. You still have Kawhi. Kawhi's healthy. This is the healthiest he's been going to the playoffs in years. He's feeling great. This is their last stand, the Clippers, with him and Paul George, because George is going to leave as a free agent. You've heard rumblings of him, you know, possibly Miami, possibly the Knicks, possibly other teams that are interested in signing George next year. This is their last chance, and I think when you have a healthy Kawhi Leonard, that's a scary Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to go with the Clippers in this one in 7. Luka and Kyrie have had a nice season, but boy, the Clippers got the home court. Kawhi's a different gamer in the playoffs, man.
But you know what they don't have? Who's that difference maker point guard?
You can say, don't say Russell Westbrook.
Is it Harden? Is it Russ?
That's Jim.
But guess what?
You know,
who does Dallas have? Difference maker point guard.
But did you know? But did you notice I didn't even bring up James Harden? I did it on purpose because he stinks, and there's no point. He's thinking about strip clubs.
But that's what I'm saying. The difference maker.
I thought you were going to say Russell Westbrook. I really did.
Luka neutralizes PG and or.
But Luka,
Kawhi. You know what?
Luka doesn't really play defense.
Kawhi is Kawhi fully healthy too?
Yes, he is. He said this is the healthiest he's been in years. Speedy, am I wrong? This is the healthiest he's been in years going in.
Are we actually going to believe it though? That's
yes, we are. You know why? Because look at his numbers spoke for itself this year.
But
that's
the thing.
Yes.
I think because you don't have anyone who's going to stop Kyrie.
And who's going to stop Kawhi?
Luka.
Oh my God.
No, listen, you're going to have it's one of the best offenses against one of the best defense. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to that way.
All right. So finals predictions, what are they?
I'm going Dallas.
Dallas against who?
Oh, you were saying
no,
finals?
in the finals.
Oh, you switched on me. I'm sorry. In the finals?
Yeah.
The Western Conference, your Denver Nuggets.
And in the East?
And in the East, you ready for this one?
Oh, God.
Are you sitting down?
Just going to say if you...
I'm going to say who?
Just say it.
Who? Oh, come on. Who do you think I'm going to say?
Just say it.
He's waiting for you to say the Orlando Magic.
No, I'm not actually. No, it's not. No, because he's going to say it and he's going to jinx it. So say it.
Nope, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say Boston.
Okay. Thank goodness.
Because you know what? A, I do not want to jinx it. But B,
I mean, it's the finals, I think, too.
But B, one of the big difference too that I think will help is a healthy Porzingis, basically. To have another big man who can shoot the ball, space the flooring out with Tatum and Brown there. That's gonna be tough to come out of the East that way.
I'm gonna go Celtics, Denver in this one, and I actually think Denver will. I think Denver might take it again.
Same.
Denver's gonna be it's gonna be a while for them. It's gonna be wild. But
you're right. The same reason why Boston gets there is the same reason why Denver wins it.
we have like 15 more minutes, so Speed, let's change up the song and let's get to a little NHL on what's the old NHL and ESPN theme?
All right, you want me to find that one? I had the NBC one. But...
Let's go.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I can find the ESPN one.
No, remember remember that one?
I will find it.
Okay. We're gonna wait for that to get going. That's our NBA stuff. Boy, we're
Hey,
flying here.
how about Detroit?
Oh, God, shut up.
Should we address the elephant in the room with that?
God, it would have been awesome if that was our first round.
Here, 92-93 theme.
Whatever-
NHL on ESPN.
What was the yeah, whatever it is.
All right, let's see.
I don't know. Is that the one?
Let's hope.
Do you remember the NHL team when it would come on ESPN?
You know, when Eisman and Fedorov and Shanahan and
There you go. This is the one. This is the one. Okay. A lot to get into. Start with different divisions, and then we'll get to our Stanley Cup prediction and pick. We'll start in the Atlantic, I believe, is the first one, Speedy, with the Bruins.
Yeah, Bruins and Leafs.
Bruins. No, we don't want to start them first. We'll start with.
Why not?
That's juicy. Let's start with the
Florida.
Let's start with Florida. We'll start with Tampa and Florida. I'm gonna go with. Oh man, this is.
I'm gonna beat you to it. I'm going Tampa. The experience of Tampa, Kucherov.
I gotta tell you, I'm actually with them on this one. I'm very nervous for Florida in this matchup. I really am. I mean, they really
tell them why, Josh.
They really think Kyle Post. I know they were trying to do him a favor, but is he really a fourth line player? I mean, I know you're trying to do him a favor. I like
goalie play.
I just think Tampa, dude. Here's the thing, it's Speedy Okerud, man. This Vasilevsky's finding his form at the right time. Once again, this is what they do. And let's go like this. Braden Point had the quietest season you could imagine. Why? Because Nikita Kucherov's going to win the Hart Trophy this year. So there's that.
2 reasons right there.
I'm gonna go with the Lightning in this one to upset the Florida Panthers. Now we have the Bruins and the Maple Leafs. No, whoa, because this is what I've been waiting for. This is what we've all been waiting for. The Maple Leafs are hyped. Their fans are hyped. This is our year. Oh, shoot. But then we're playing the Boston Bruins, who I don't believe they've been, I believe, since 1968, if I'm not mistaken. Give me the Boston Bruins in this one again.
Same.
Yep.
Finding good form late in the season, carry that momentum in, that experience. I keep saying experience, but I'm just saying, does it make a big difference?
Well, they have a chip on their shoulder from last year. They have a chip on their shoulder last year. All right, let's get to the Metro now. The New York Rangers.
Red Wings.
You're an idiot. The Rangers, the President's Trophy winning Rangers, going up against the -40 goal differential, the worst goal differential by a playoff team, I believe, since entering the playoffs in 1981.
I think they finished with the least goals in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Washington Capitals.
Waiting.
Ovechkin, 38 years old. Oshie, 37. Tom Wilson, 35. John
Ready to get
Carlson,
suspended.
34. No, because Matt Rimpey's good. Does Tom Wilson, who's 35 years old, really want to deal with Matt Rimpey in the series? Does he really want to do?
Rimpey starts a fight with Ovechkin, takes out the best.
What?
Boom.
What is happening?
Then what? You know what I mean?
I don't know what the Capitals are gonna do. They're gonna ask Dylan Strome to have a hat trick every game. Give me the Rangers in this one. I'm going to say it should be 5 games. I'll give them a game, Washington. Honestly, it should be a sweep, but it's never sweeps in the NHL. It should be. I'll go 5 games. They should make it easy. They really should.
Charlie Lindgren will get 1 shutout.
That's probably right. I mean, but it's just, here's the thing. Shesterkin's starting to really find his form at the right time. It's as good as it gets. Panarin's going to get Hart Trophy votes this year. They finally did the inevitable. Peter Laviolette finally said, you know what? Screw the Jacob Trouba, Keandre Miller pairing. I'm changing it up. And by the way, Trouba was flexing his knee after practice today. Yeah. 1, because he's been hurt all season probably. And 2, he shouldn't even be playing. It should be Zach Jones. But I digress on that one. I'll take the Rangers in this one.
We'll go Rangers. I mean, what else do we need to say about it? Although, Josh, you said 6 games, 5 games?
I said 5 games.
It
should be 5 games.
I'm going to go 6 games.
That's too many games. And that's a disappointment on the Rangers if it goes 6 games. It should not. It shouldn't even go past 4.
Josh, I just know your track history with teams and everything that I think 6 is probably the number there. They do get by,
Well, they beat the
But now
Penguins.
with that
They
little
beat
bit
the
of a select.
Penguins 1 year in 5 games in the first round.
I
They
just-
did do that. When
when
Hagman
they were
scored
an
the overtime winner.
Yeah, when they were an 8 seed.
No,
yeah.
no. Oh, what, the Penguins?
The Penguins were
Yeah,
eight.
yeah. The Rangers were the
Yeah.
yeah.
But Josh,
Uh,
you always have to sweat, I feel. So
yeah,
that's why I'm saying 6.
The worrisome one was when they played Ottawa when they won the President's Trophy, and that went 7.
Oh man, yeah, that was a rough one. They were down 3-2. They had to call Chris Kreider to save that series. Yep. Hurricanes Islanders. This is a really tough series. I was guest hosting with Lyle the other day on the Cross Island podcast. I was filling in for Arrow, and we were going back and forth with it. And I said to him, I wouldn't be shocked if the Islanders won the series. Varlamov carried them into this playoffs. He did. The Islanders, the depth scoring to me is still the issue, right? We all are worried about that, but they still get the time up with Bo Horvat and Matt Barzal. But then you have the Carolina Hurricanes, which, and I said this on the show, for the life of me, it makes no freaking sense. Go look at their blue line. When you look at their blue line on paper, it looks like one of the worst blue lines you would possibly see from any playoff team. Speedy, I'm not wrong about that. Lyle said the same thing. Tony DeAngelo, Brent Burns, Brady Shea, their blue line looks horrific on paper, but yet they follow the Rob Brind'Amour system, which they don't play a stay-at-home defense. They all pinch in. This is what the Hurricanes do. I'm waiting for Speedy's approval. They pinch in on every play as defensemen to try to keep the play alive, and that's what they do. Yes or no?
Eric, I am not. Josh and I both agree on how bad Tony DeAngelo is.
No, but do they not all pinch Brady Shea?
Well, they kind of have to.
Brent Burns. Listen to that defense. It stinks on paper, but they're where they are because they do the structure of Brind'Amour, which is pinch in, keep the 5-on-5 play alive. It's going to be the question about goaltending. They do this every year. Antti Ranta 1 year, Nedeljkovic 1 year. Now,
they have the Russian kid.
Yeah, they have this. Who's the kid they have now?
I forget his name. It's a Russian kid with a very weird spelling, but he played well this year.
Yes, he did. That's what I'm. Hold on.
Koryachov or something like that.
Kochenkov is another one. Then you got Freddie Anderson. It doesn't make sense. How did the Hurricanes do this every freaking year? But then it's a matter of how far can they go. It's playoff build. And you saw it 2 years ago when they lost to the Rangers. You saw it last year when they lost to the Panthers. It's playoff build. When they meet, so 2 years ago they met Shesterkin, they lost in that series. Then last year they met Bobrovsky, they lost in that series. It's the goaltending that comes down to it. I'm gonna take gun to my head. I gotta take the Hurricanes in this series. It's gonna be 7 games. It's gonna be a bruising series. The Islanders will keep this series close. I gotta see how healthy Noah Dobson is. And then today I found out Pajot did not practice today. That's a big loss for the Islanders because of their faceoffs and their penalty kill. And their penalty kill is already the worst in the league. But they're finding ways to win games because of Semyon Varlamov carrying this team the last week and a half. I'll take the Hurricanes. It's going to be a tough bruise. But even after the top 2 line speed, they're not that good. Go look at their top 2 lines. And he finally did the inevitable Brind'Amour. He wanted to keep Gento on the second line with Drury. He finally said, I can't do this. I got to put him on the top line with Svechnikov and Aho. That's why you got him, because I understood what Brind'Amour was trying to do. He wants to spread the wealth on the depth of the lines. But Sebastian Aho, Drury as your center. Well, you got to make Gensel successful. But I'll take the Hurricanes in 7 games. But I would not be shocked if the Islanders won this series.
See, I agree with you that it's 7 games. 100% do I agree.
He's going to say the Islanders.
You know why?
Because it's faith, Rangers Islanders, fate, Rangers Islanders, second round.
But you also said who I think will be the difference maker.
You're going to say goaltending.
Series. Bingo.
Here's the problem, though.
Bingo.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. In the last week and a half, look at the teams that the Islanders have played. Now, they played some decently good teams, right? Like Nashville, who was hot, the Rangers. Carolina, Speedy, would you agree? It's probably, if they had to choose between the Rangers, the Bruins, the Panthers, and the Hurricanes, I would probably say Carolina is probably their worst matchup they probably could have been dealt with, only because of the offensive structure that Carolina runs.
Yeah, they play well against Florida.
They come at you hard and fast, and it's relentless. It's you literally, the only way you're going to beat them, especially in Carolina, is how the Rangers do it, is if Shesterkin stands on his head and wins like 1-0.
And I think he can.
Varlamov.
And that's why I say
Gonna be a lot.
7, because he's going to have some games where it doesn't happen, but he's going to
Gonna-
have 4 games that he does.
Well,
Just
here's the thing,
enough.
if he struggles, then they're going to go with Sorokin. That's simple.
And guess what? 4 games.
Okay.
Rangers, I'll see you with the Islanders.
Second round. Western Conference. A series that I'm actually very hyped about. By the way, I got to start with this one. Speedy's eyes widened. He's like, oh, what series is he talking about? Ooh. Winnipeg, Colorado. A dream first round matchup. Because I think the opposite of Colorado, while the Islanders have great goaltending going in, ever since I went out to dinner a couple weeks ago with Errol, we sat at the bar at Miller's, and he said, boy, Georgiev's a good goalie. And ever since Errol said that, Georgiev has crapped the bed this last month. Speedy, am I wrong? Is that why Colorado's where they are right now?
Mm-hmm.
He's been awful. Awful. And at the worst time possible. Now you got to go against the best goalie in the league in Hellebuck, who's going to win another Vezina this year. The Jets have a legit shot to go into the Stanley Cup. Tyler Toffoli getting that was a great acquisition. Speedy mentioned that to me when he filled in for you last week, Eric. He mentioned Toffoli. I like where Winnipeg is. Give me Winnipeg. I'm going to say 6 games. I really do. I think Winnipeg's just going to overwhelm Georgiev. He's not going to be able to handle it. And it's, listen, McKinnon's been great. He's going to get hard. He's going to finish in the runner-up probably behind McDavid. Winnipeg's too much. Give me Winnipeg.
I'm going to agree with you. 6 games, Winnipeg. We talked about it during the trade deadline, everything they were doing too. So Winnipeg, 6 games, lock it in.
Who else is it? We got in that division? Who won it?
Dallas was playing Vegas.
Dallas and Vegas. So this is fascinating because Vegas made all these moves, and who did we have on a couple weeks ago?
Adam Kimmelman,
who came on the show and said, "Oh no. Stone might not play anymore. It's not a sure thing." And all of a sudden, he's skating, and it sounds like he's going to play. Which, by the way, it sounds like the Rangers might have done the same thing with Filipino. By the way, it's crazy. Mark Stone sounds like he's going to play. I don't think it's going to matter. Dallas, Ottinger is finding the groove of Jake Ottinger of what we all thought he would be. Right? This is what we thought. Give me Dallas in 7 games, and it's a disappointment for Vegas this year. They won the cup last year. Just a lot. Dallas is too good. Give me Dallas.
Nope.
You're going to say Vegas.
Nope.
Yeah,
Vegas. And you know what? 7 games does sound about right. But I think that, experience, Eric. You keep talking about it. But guess what? It's going to be the difference maker to get Vegas over the hump into the second round where they might lose there. But I still think they get out of the first round.
And then we have in the next one, Speedy, what are the matchups? I know the Kings.
It's Vancouver and Nashville is one, and then the Kings are against the Oilers.
So Vancouver and Nashville is a tough one. I actually feel for Vancouver because I don't believe Demko's going to play. And that is a massively tough blow for them. Because Demko was playing so well this year, he was up for the Vezina possibly. I don't think he was going to win it, but he was going to get votes. And he's missed the last month, I want to say. And he's not come back. And I don't think now they have great depth. The problem with Vancouver is, again, you're going up now against UC Saros, who another goalie, finding his rhythm at the best time possible. And again, no Thatcher Demko. That's going to hurt Vancouver. I'm going to go with Nashville in the upset in this one. I really feel for Vancouver because I felt, and I said this to Speedy when he filled in for you on the show, Eric, about a few months ago. I said I thought Vancouver was a legit Stanley Cup contender, and then Thatcher Demko got hurt, and I was like, ugh, it's a killer for them. So I'll take Nashville in this one in an upset. Give me the Predators. Smashville is back.
Boom. 6 games, Nashville. Same reasons you said, because I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think there's really any other argument I can make one way or the other. Nashville in 6.
And then the last one, the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers.
For the 3rd year in a row.
Exactly, and the Kings always have the Oilers number.
Except for this year, and let me tell you why.
Well, 2 years ago, didn't Edmonton beat them?
No, Edmonton won both times. They've won.
No, I thought the Kings. No, the Kings lost in the Game 7 when they were winning the series, I believe.
Yeah, and they blew a 3-0 lead in Game 4 last year.
Yes.
Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Big difference right there. Because those guys are on Edmonton.
Really?
Edmonton
they are? You don't
That's
say.
why they win. Difference makers right there.
I'm going to go. Now, additionally, Speedy was very high on the Kings before the season started, and they've been kind of.
No, I wasn't. I was high on them in the playoffs last year.
What was it at the beginning of this year?
No, I was high on
the Kings this year.
No,
too,
I didn't.
you
I liked
said.
the Kraken. I was wrong on that.
Oh shoot! Yes, you said.
That's
yes,
right.
you said Seattle.
Speedy's kept his receipts.
Which, by the way, now Utah gets to do an expansion draft. How wonderful! That's another team that's going to do great. I'm going to go with Edmonton in this one. They're due. I think I'd like the solid moves that they made at the trade deadline, but I think again, I think they are the best team. The problem with the Kings is it's very streaky. Now, I think Talbot lost his starting job, if I'm not mistaken. Did he not?
Yeah, he did at some points. I think he might have gotten it back recently.
That's
but,
been the problem this year because Talbot was so good at the beginning of the year that he was slugging, he was slumping, and then he was boom back at it again. So I don't know.
Whose offense do you trust more?
I trust Edmonton's honestly because the Kings are also a little bit of an older team, like with Kopitar. Listen, my guy is still on that team though. Speedy knows who my guy is. He's on defense for LA.
Drew Doughty.
That's my man right there, dude. That's my guy. Drew Doughty's my guy. Just like who's my guy in football? Who's my favorite tight end in football? Who I always wanted the Jets to sign?
Brock Bowers.
Nope.
Oh.
No. Who is
sure?
it? Come on.
Oh, Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying?
I
No,
love that
but
Brock Bowers. Weird.
no, Speedy always knew. I always when Speedy remembers when Drew Doughty's contract I thought was up, I said, "Oh, the Rangers have to go full force." I said I'll trade whatever to get him, and then like the Kings signed like the next day, and I was so annoyed. And then Keontae Miller like spit on him last year, and I was even more annoyed at Keontae Miller for doing that. I was like, dude, you don't spit on a Hall of Famer like that.
And
He's
your
a future
future-
Hall of Famer.
And your
I don't
future
want to
teammate.
hear it. He's a future Hall of Famer, and you know it, right?
I never said he wasn't.
Okay, so let me make sure.
Can we-
Some
can we-
said he wasn't.
Can we mute it like a little bit?
All right, so who are we going with? You're going with the Oilers too?
Oilers.
All right, and who's the Stanley Cup prediction?
All right, from the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna go on, and you know what? You guys are gonna give me some dirty looks here. I'm gonna get
Probably. He's going to say probably Tampa.
Get out of my mind.
He's gonna say,
He knows me too well. But no, yeah, we're with Tampa.
against who in the West?
In the West, I want to say Edmonton because their offense is so good, but I don't know if I trust the defense and goalkeeping. But you know what? I don't care. It's Draisaitl's year. He's going for it. I'm gonna have egg on my face after this first series, probably, but I'm still going with it. So let's go Edmonton
And the winner
against
is
Tampa Bay
And the winner is
with the MVP of Connor McDavid.
I mean the Conn Smythe Trophy.
All right, that's it.
Technical
We're
terms.
going Edmonton. Edmonton, it's their year.
Well, that would save Edmonton from McDavid wanting to leave.
How do you keep them?
I mean, you know, for me, it's fascinating. I'm actually gonna ride the wheel and say Winnipeg is gonna get there. I'm liking where Winnipeg goes. It's the East is so fascinating because you really do have four teams. You have the Rangers, you have the Bruins, you have the Hurricanes, and you have the Panthers. And then also, if the Islanders beat the Hurricanes, it's like, well, now you got to throw their name in. Now, I picked them to lose in the first round last year. You know,
Yeah,
Oh, here we go. Cliffhanger time.
I remember.
I'm going with the New York Rangers to get there this year.
Whoa. So wait a minute. If Eric chooses the Knicks before, you're gonna jinx it and everything. But if we stay at MSG and pick the ring, that's not a jinx.
Well, here's the reason. Because last year, the Rangers had a terrible matchup and a horrible head coach. The difference is this year, the East is so wide open. And they have a respectable coach who's won a cup before and has been successful on different teams. The X factor, and I'm going to say it, is Filipino. If Filipino comes back and plays, and if Filipino's on that top line with Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad, that's what the New York Rangers were missing. Speedy, am I wrong about that? That's lethal. And I really do believe this is going to be Panarin's year to break out.
And from the West,
I said Winnipeg already, Bow. I said Winnipeg already.
and the winner,
God, I'm really ditching the crap out
I
of
hope
Lamar
we're
and I,
sitting down
Speedy.
here. I hope we're sitting down.
Speedy, who did you pick to win the cup?
I had Carolina and Winnipeg.
You-
was my matchup.
You douche.
Winnipeg.
You douche.
I actually agree with him on Winnipeg. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
I'm going to go with the New York Rangers to lift the Stanley Cup.
Eric, it's funny because last year, Josh will joke about it all the time. Like, I actually picked Vegas correctly, but I had every other series wrong besides like two of them.
Fair. You know what? This brings up an excellent point. Because I know we have to do the you're better than that still too. And you know what? I kind of just said it to you now, Speedy.
Thank God you turned that song. I mean, I love that song. It was gonna be.
I'm going for it. I believe that I got called out before I even made my pick.
Dude, basketball's so
not
different than
pick
hockey.
a New York team
Dude,
to win it
basketball.
all. You're gonna jinx it, and then what do you do?
Time out.
Not only do you
Basketball.
pick them in the finals, you pick them to win.
Basketball
so now when
is
they
different
get
than
jinxed,
hockey.
they're gonna get jinxed, and
Speedy,
you know what?
am I wrong? Speedy, basketball is so different than
It's
hockey.
the same thing as touching the trophy. Oh, right. We can do that.
I didn't do it.
Don't touch the trophy.
I didn't touch Stanley Cup when I
It's
saw
gonna
it.
jinx,
I didn't
but we're
touch
gonna
it.
pick them.
Yeah, because
So you know what?
if I look at
you know what, Joshua, I'm looking you right in the
if
eyes
I look
right
at the
now.
if I look at the
I'm
matchups,
looking
it
at
works
you
for the
right
Rangers.
in the eyes, and you know what I'm gonna say? Come on, Josh. You better.
But the matchups work for them. I actually think if the Rangers played the Hurricanes or the Islanders, they're in good shape. The Islanders they can beat. Carolina will be tough, but the thing of it is that I think they can neutralize Carolina on the offensive skill set with Svechnikov, Aho, and Gensel.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, come on, are you really gonna pick the team, or are you gonna be the jinx? Or is
I might be, but
is
here's
someone else who touched the trophy the jinx?
Here's
already?
the difference. Okay,
I'm just saying,
Speedy.
What?
How long? You gotta have a tone with me now.
Thank you, Speedy.
I'm trying to figure out what you're getting at.
That
here.
tone means he
How
agrees.
long have I wanted Peter Laviolette as the head coach of this freaking team?
Like
I
5
think
years.
first year.
Out of all the coaches the Rangers have had the last 10 years, Vigneault, Quinn, Gallant, Laviolette, who would you trust the most in the playoffs?
Laviolette.
Is it even close?
But I'm not disagreeing
Is
with
it
you,
close?
Josh. When I'm disagreeing with the whole let's jinx it
Is
before
it
it happens.
close?
I mean, yeah.
No, it's not close. Where is it close? Because now I'm going to go arrow on you. Where is it close?
Mute him. Mute his mic.
Well, in terms of consistency, I would say it's not. But in terms of like peak value, Vigneault is still up there, though. You still have to give him that.
No.
Yes.
I'm not crazy about him either.
He sucked. What do you mean?
I'm not crazy about him either.
What did he do? He didn't get there. It wasn't him.
Hey,
He cost Vancouver the cup against Boston. He should have had Corey Schneider and go instead of Luongo.
And the Bruins were still a better team.
Doesn't matter. They were up
seed.
They were up 3-2 in that series, and what happened? They blew it because he should have went with Schneider in Game 7, and instead he kept Luongo after he laid an egg in the Game 6 in Boston. Yes or no?
Yeah, you can look at that in hindsight all the time.
Why do you always have to? I don't want to look at it in hindsight. I'm going to look at it in this sight. We're looking at it here now.
You got some blinders on, Joshua.
There's no blinders. What is it? The blinders of? I'm just saying this is the most confident I have been. Listen,
we can tell.
Now, listen, the Rangers could lose in the second round to Carolina or the Islanders. It wouldn't surprise me either. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to tell me that you don't think if Alain Vigneault can get the Rangers to a Stanley Cup final, you don't think Laviolette has a shot? And this Eastern Conference is as wide open as it's been the last few years. Every year, which teams do we always say? Tampa and Boston. Tampa and Boston. Every year, we throw maybe Carolina a crumb every now and then, right? Do we not?
Yeah.
Now this year, is it not almost everybody's on even playing field?
Of those top four, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not disagreeing with
and
you.
who has the best goalie out of all four of them
I'm
right
disagreeing
now?
about the whole don't pick them.
But who has the best goalie out of
and
all
then
of them?
you pick them. That's the hill I'm laying on.
All right,
right
so
now.
you know what? Let me get something better than that because we have to end the show.
Let's
It's
go.
late.
Let's go.
Let's just Speedy, go to yours first.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a shot at these creepy reporter that like to ask weird questions to Caitlin Clark, Greg Doyle.
That was bad.
Yeah, Greg Doyle. Yeah, that was disturbing on so many levels.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So you're better than that, we would think.
Yes. For me, it's very. I want to say it's actually very simple. It's intriguing because we're talking about where everybody in these I want to get to the NBA on TNT crew, who Barkley and Shaq both went out of their way and said, quote, I'm easily taking the 76ers. Tobias Harris would be the second best player on the Knicks behind Brunson. What? What? Tobias Harris would be the second best player on the Knicks? Better than OG? Better than DiVincenzo.
Josh Hart.
Hart's good. I don't know if Hart. I mean,
Give me Hart every day of the week.
So you know what, NBA TNT crew, you're better than that. Well, we have to end it here because we're late. Don't forget, worldwidesportsradio.com, Facebook, X-Point on this Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, all smart speakers, and so much more. Of course, thank our guest tonight, Chris Lombardi joining us, Mike Luchene joining us. Great job tonight. Enjoy, boys, the playoffs this weekend. Enjoy the NFL draft. I will see you on Friday. I'll see whenever I see you, Speedy. Wow.
Unless the Giants draft JJ McCarthy, then I might not.
No, I will be at the show. I'll be here Thursday night. I will be here Thursday night to drop by to the draft show.
I may have to call in for the 6th.
Call in. I will be. It's a draft show that I have been invited to for years. I've never come on.
If I call, hit the ignore button though.
I'll keep that in mind.
So
if the Giants draft JJ McCarthy,
I also want to thank the fans also for chiming in. Thank you, Jeff, for calling in as well. Appreciate it, of course. For Eric Bowe, for Speedy Petey, I'm Josh Silberg. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. Enjoy the NHL playoffs. Enjoy the NFL draft next week. We'll talk to you then. Don't forget to check out Sports Loudmouths, The Weekend Crunch on 103.9 FM, Wise Guys, everything, and so much more. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there?